You are listening to the Ambeecast, Environmental Intelligence for the World.
Hi, Manny. What's a typical day like for you?
It's fun. It starts off very early with our Chinese partners pinging in the morning about asking decisions, and we're talking about making the world's cheapest, but very very accurate outdoor monitors. And we are also doing multiple things. We have hardware, we have mobile, we have data, we have backend, we have front end, and all these teams have made progress in the previous day, and we have at the middle deployed something. And in between all of this product building that's going on, we are also discussing about the next sales meeting that we have, the next city we need to monitor, the next country we need to add into our interpolation algorithm, the next what are the stability of our model at the moment, and how good is our forecasting is like. So juggling between marketing, sales, product, and also looking at what products should be coming in between, what features should we be adding the next day, what's our pipeline looking like. So evaluating pretty much everything, and also planning for the next day and executing what tasks are at hand. That's how my day goes. Suddenly there's some accelerator program we've become a part of. There are certainly some expectations from a customer. Suddenly we've got some feedback. We're also looking at customer success. So I have to put it in department wise. I get to work on being a product manager, to a data scientist, to a salesman, a business developer, to customer success, and also my own learning. At the end of the day, I also have to attribute to some part of my learning, and that's how my day ends.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So being a startup, the best part is that you get to be working on a lot of roles, learning a lot of things, wearing multiple hats.
Typical startup life. So, what do you want to achieve with Ambee?
Ambee is a platform. We want it to help improve the health of the planet. And it's a platform of environmental intelligence, which means we don't have a one-stop repository which is easy, accessible, intuitive, informative, and problem-solving to a lot of businesses, corporations, companies, and people who are affected by whatever problems in the air, in the water, in the climate, and so on.
Yeah. Interesting. So, Ambee. I can call you the father of Ambee. Would you agree?
Never had anyone said anything like that, but you can call me. Ambee is something which has come way beyond what I thought it would ever be because of all the people who are part of. So you can call of all the many people who've made Ambee today, all the team members, all the investors, all the stakeholders, all the customers who gave us feedback. You can call me a co-founder of Ambee, rather.
Okay, I will do that. Anyways, the story of Ambee is an interesting one. Where it began, where it's going, the road to where we're going. So please tell me from the beginning, how did Ambee begin?
Okay. That's a pretty long one.
Yeah.
I'll try to answer it and as crisp as possible.
Okay.
Ambee started off sometime in 2015 when I moved from Hyderabad to Bangalore.
Mhm.
I was living outside of Electronic City because my wife was working there. And my previous startup was acquired, and at that time I was just learning IoT and attending a lot of hackathons. And this is one particular hackathon that I attended where we built Ambee, where I attended because we were getting these free kits. And we were a small team at that time, and we went there. We built this thing called Ambee, which could measure air, water, air, noise, UV, and carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, and so on. There were all the sensors that come from a Grove sensor kit, which is an IoT kit. We won that hackathon, but little did I know that it's going to change my life. And I was looking for what to do next. At that time, my son started, who was 6 months old, picking up cold. He started picking up cold, and eventually it turned out that the doctor one day called and said, he might be turning. He might be turning asthmatic.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a solution. We didn't know why this was happening. And he used to wake up in the middle of the night trying to breathe. struggling to breathe. And it was very painful for us to see him go through something like that. Although he was not asthmatic or anything, we were administering some asthma-related medicine already. And we were really, really worried. And one day he woke up, and as usual, he was really, because, as a child, you can't speak at that age, and you don't know, we can only see you suffer. And one night he woke up, and we sort of tried to put him to sleep, and me and my wife hadn't slept for days, for many days, and it was we were going through some very tough time. So around all this time, after he slept, it was around 6:30, and I didn't want to sleep. I looked at both my wife and my son. They looked so tired, and that was a really tough time for me to look at them that way, going through all of that, and having no way to find out why.
Yeah.
I called my friend who's a doctor, he's a childhood friend, a family friend as well. They go way back into generations, and he said, I'm going to come down and see what's going on. He's not a pediatrician though. So he came, we went to the pediatrician, we met the doctor, and it was like everything is going fine. We were sitting at a table where I had put my hackathon prototype on the table. He asked me what that is, and I just gave him a very brief intro. This just measures airman, some kind of project I built at IoT's hackathon, and we won that, but this is really bad. I don't know what's going on. So he said, let me talk to my dad. His dad's also a doctor. And on his way back on Ice Road, he gave a call to his father, and father said, it could be anything. It could be the bed sheets, it could be the bacterial infection, it could be viral. If it's viral, maybe it's reinfecting, and that's why antibiotics are not working. And it could also be the air. Yeah. And that suddenly made him stop the car. He realized, there is something air. And Maddy mentioned about a device that measures air. Let me come back. He gave me a call and said, look, I'm coming back. I'm not going to my clinic. Tell me more about this device.
Yeah.
And he said it could be the air pollution. And like hundreds of others, I went onto internet to look for air pollution. And the nearest air monitoring station was in Silkboard. And the numbers indicated 25, which is the World Health Organization safe limit for good quality air.
Yeah.
And as a father, I couldn't just sit by and do nothing. So I put together this monitor again, connected to a visualizing device, a visualizer, not a device. And I started looking at the data. And while the internet said that the city is averaging at a safe 25, the air quality around my house was 800.
Wow.
And this changed everything.
Yeah.
This told me that air quality is hyperlocal. It changes from place to place. It affects us big time. It depends on what industries you have, what microclimatic conditions are there, what human activities going on, construction, population density, weather, and so on. And I looked at all the people in my apartment, all the housewives. They all had running nose. They would get a lot of headaches. And eventually I took it out to my street, and everyone is affected. And eventually, a few months later, we found out that there is a factory near my house that was burning denim in the night for the workers to come make garment in the air. In the daytime, there were some dye-making things, and that was what was polluting the whole place. More than 3,000 families affected. Wow. And then I looked at, there are 82.5 million mothers in India with children under the age of 3 who are affected by some sort of respiratory disorder, mostly asthma, and all because of air pollution. Then I looked at worldwide statistics that there are 1,600 children who die every day because of air pollution. Living in Delhi alone reduces one's age by 9.5 years. And this is according to the study from Chicago University. And all this information, and this is before nobody spoke about air pollution like the way we do now. Yeah. In 2015, everything was great. Nobody thought this is an issue. But at that time, this was the beginning of Ambee.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing the podcast, to tell people about the issue of air pollution.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
I think it's a good beginning point that people become aware. Most of us think, I can't see air pollution. I can see smoke, but smoke alone is not air pollution. There's so many particles we can't see, so many pollutants that still cause. Can you see pollen? Can you see birds? Can you see allergens? No, you can't. And that's what they cause you air pollution. And we are the only ones who have the right information at the moment today. And when we started this, we were a hardware company. We were looking at selling hardware to a lot of parents, because we thought, children problem. This is we have to give it to a lot of people. But then we thought, we could reach maybe 1,000 people, 10,000 mothers and fathers.
Yeah.
But how do we take it global?
Mm.
And in India, building hardware is very, very hard.
Mm.
And you just can't just go about build a hardware straight away. And we still built 3 iterations at a time when I barely had any money associated to fund this kind of project.
Yeah. So one person who is very good at technical stuff, he found the problem of millions of people having problems with air pollution without knowing why or how to solve it. And then you've dedicated a lot of your time now to solve this problem. Yeah.
Yes. After we, I found out this was the problem, I moved my son to my parents, and he's doing great now, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved to my parents, I used this device.
Yeah.
And the thing I built at a hackathon, and air quality was pretty good. And in about 3 days, he was completely fine. He was okay. He had stopped doing all the baby things, but he started doing everything.
Yeah.
Started drinking milk. He had lost weight. He started smiling. He started playing, which had completely stopped. And in 10 days, he's completely okay. He's 100% what he used to be, cured without any medicines.
Yeah.
And my house continued to be bad. And I use a device to find a new place where I moved in, where I stay right now. And I continuously monitor. I know what I'm breathing. There's so many apps that tell you what to work out, how much calories to burn, what to eat, what time you should eat, what time you should meditate. But there's hardly anything in the world that exists today that tell you anything about the 23,000 breaths you take in a day.
Yeah.
And that's 11,000 liters of air we breathe in a single day.
Yeah.
And when you can buy a bottled water, you're so concerned about the 3 liters of water you drink. What about the 11,000 liters of air you breathe? And you're okay. If there's at least, I'm thirsty, I can still wait to buy a bottle. But what if there is pollution right in front of you? You can't hold your breath for more than 20-30 seconds. You still have to breathe that.
Yeah.
And it's a behavior problem. It's a attitude problem. It's a culture problem.
Yeah.
It's a big issue. It's a system problem as well. What can you do about it?
Yeah. It's a big issue, and we're trying to find the best solution for it.
We have found many solutions today.
Yeah.
What we started as trying to make these devices, we still continue to have hardware as part of our product line, but our focus is in data. Now, the first problem is in India, let's say Mumbai has only 2 sensors. In Bangalore, there are only about 5. Sixth one keeps coming on and off. And everyone talks about building a sensor. I'm going to do this, and a lot of talks, a lot of meetings, but nothing ever materializes.
Yeah.
So we took that matter into hands. The first solution is access to information and access to measurement. And then comes access to solutions. So when you can't measure something, how can you solve it?
Exactly.
Like it was told by the famous guy, I'm not getting his name right now, Peter. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Peter.
Yeah. So, that's the kind of thing. So we started off with that, and we wanted to put these monitors across. So today we have near real-time, hyper-local air quality data for 15 lakh locations covering 70 plus countries on the planet.
Yes.
And that means you can know what's the air quality right now, right outside your house, wherever you are in the countries that we are we are monitoring.
Yes.
And we do this with a combination of technologies. So one is the hardware data, then we add the satellite imagery to it, then we include hyperlocal parameters of human parameters of population density and contextual data of construction, garbage burning, and all of this with addition of impact of weather. Like you have a lot of smog in winter in Delhi. So we factor in these kind of things versus more dust in summer or during humid days. So all of this, the chemical reaction, and then we do dispersion and source identification and alert a lot of people to take micro actions to prevent themselves from the harmful effects of air pollution. Yeah. And a lot of solutions are coming up. Just to quickly tell you about the solution for a massive global problem like this, because one thing is a lot of people don't want to solve it because it's very big. And everyone thinks that solving a problem of air pollution is putting a lot of air purifiers. And we did a study around this. So if we convert 20% of all the large buildings in Bangalore into air purifiers, they would only reduce 1% of the air quality, 1% of pollution. Because on one side, you're continuously emitting and you're expecting something to suck all the pollution out of air, which is not possible.
Yeah.
So the only solution to this is to start with people taking responsibility and
Yeah.
just becoming aware, building their own solutions, taking actions, taking
Yes.
responsibility.
We want to help people take the right actions.
That's right.
Yes. So we have to solve the problem from the source instead of trying to minimize the problem after it has happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the problem at source is if our industries continue to pollute, and if our governments continue to overlook the pollution, because there is a factory and the nearest air monitoring station is some 25-30 kilometers away.
Yeah.
Then what's the point? And also people burn garbage. The BBMP, for example, or the municipality councils are not really concerned. People don't choose to take public transport. People don't do their emission checks properly.
Yeah.
And there's no construction laws in India right now, unlike in other countries. So if you're polluting while you're doing constructions, you're violating some of the laws, then you get fined. That's not the case in India. We have a few videos where metro construction's going on, and there's so much emission by the diesel digger that is being used to dig the earth, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And people are just going off as if it's their own business.
Yeah.
But end of the night when they sleep, the air they breathe is taking them to the hospitals.
Yeah.
Even the doctor doesn't want to tell them, hey, look, it's because of these guys doing pollution around where you live, and also partly you're responsible for it because you're not taking actions on preventing yourself from getting exposed to some things.
Yeah.
So we need a community action sort of it. So the factory which is polluting my place now, the people who live around the area where I used to live, they're aware now. They see this data every day and they take those actions. They know when to close the windows, when to use a purifier, when to go out, where to go for a jog, when to go for a run.
Yeah.
And they seal themselves off from the effects of air pollution because they're aware.
Yes. And for this particular case, you have prevented the same thing that happened with your son for the people who live in that apartment building where he lived.
Yeah, we saved 2 other children's lives. Then the doctors also came down. They did they formed a small team. They did a small research around.
Yeah.
We were also doing a lot of validation of whether this product is useful or not. At that time, we spoke to 350 patients.
Wow.
Who are random people. We went to random hospitals and we spoke to people who are suffering from chronic respiratory problems, asthmatics, pregnant women, new mothers and new fathers, and old age people. And everyone believes, this is the problem. And we saved 2 other children's lives whose parents called us and said, you know what, you helped us cure from my child from asthma. Because you prevented an asthma attack. You told us to do this. This was what was happening. You helped us take these actions. And now my daughter is cured. And I still keep close touch with them. And that's how we have parents, doctors on our platform.
Yeah. And we want to help as many people as possible in these sort of situations because, of course, making the world a better place to breathe in, it's the mission, the goal.
Yeah. I've been working in startup industry for 6 years, building products that solve problems. This is the first time I'm taking up something that solves a real problem.
Yeah.
And every startup starts off telling, we're here to make a dent in the universe. We're here to solve make the world a better place, and so on. But they go about building, no offense, but they go about building another delivery app or another hiring tool. Definitely is making in the world a better place, perhaps. But real problems are, where you see a more direct impact.
Yeah.
Like we said, we built this, we saved lives, we saved real lives. And it's a global problem. You go to London, you go to Paris, you go to Brussels, you go to Africa, you go to Middle East, you go to China, Hong Kong, you go to Indonesia, you go to Australia, you go to any of these places.
Yeah.
It's a global, massive problem, and everyone are affected.
Yeah.
And there are chain reactions that we have set course already that are affecting. You can see there is an increase in natural calamities, and this is not. And all this is coming at the cost of what? Lack of awareness.
Yeah.
And that's unbelievable. It's not lack of technology. It's not because we're doing something really, really bad. It's not that a bunch of people are mafia against to kill the planet.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's just lack of awareness.
Yes.
and lack of information, and then
Yeah.
comes lack of access to solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
So just this, and we're here to solve this problem and more.
Yeah.
Air is one thing, but we're also into getting into many other things as we've expanded our reach to a deeper, much more deeper problem solving
Yeah.
because of that. Yeah.
Yes. That's wonderful, Maddy. Real problem solving, saving people's lives. I personally admire you a lot because I know that you're in this because you have all the right intentions and you care about people. I can see in your eyes that you're a person who cares about people, and I admire that a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the podcast, whoever's out there. I hope we have some more listeners than my mom and my dad. See ya!
Visit getambee.com for updates and more information.